It's another episode of Agency Exposed. Good morning, gentlemen.
All right. We need to start having these at night so we can say good evening.
Yeah.
We could say good evening.
Good morning. Good night.
Evening.
We could definitely say that.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Brad, say it.
Good evening, everyone.
Sounds
Welcome
like Dracula.
to, yeah.
Good evening, everyone.
From Transylvania. So, yeah, thank you for joining us tonight, this evening. Whenever you're listening to this podcast, that's the great thing about the internet. It's 24/7.
Yeah, apparently the internet, and anyone can put anything up online. So you don't have to be, clearly, you don't have to be educated on this thing.
I love that about podcasting. I really do. I know it's a Wild West. I know there's a lot of crap out there, but I just love that people can sit down and record and talk about anything they want to and release it to the world. What a great time we live in.
It's great.
I'm old enough to remember, I didn't have that as a young person.
If I had the internet when I was 15, 16, holy cow. I mean, I would have been, I probably would have had my own podcast. I probably would have been shooting video. I would have been a YouTuber. I think I would have been.
Brad, it's never too late.
I know. I would have been
smash it up.
It would have been it would have been like an extreme sports, stupid tricks, stupid BMX trips.
And where would your life have taken an alternate?
I don't know, man. I'd be in Hollywood. I had to have an agent. I'd be driving a Lambo, just like Ken does.
I'm too private for that kind of thing. Seriously?
Yeah.
No.
Brad's alter ego is Johnny. What's his name?
Johnny who?
The guy that made the guy that made all those videos on MTV for years. And, you know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah, Johnny.
Can't even think of his name.
Jackass.
Yeah, Jackass. But
Yeah.
Johnny, the main guy.
Yeah.
Anyway,
He actually
Brad.
went. Yeah, he went to the acting school. What's one of our clients? He graduated from the school, so he's
That's hilarious.
One of his claim to fame.
It'll come to me, the last name, while we're doing this.
Yeah. Anyways, yeah. So welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome to.
So today, what are we talking about?
Oh, we're going to talk about
your favorite company.
Who?
Apple.
Oh, I thought you said Tesla.
Second.
Yeah.
You guys probably listeners get sick of us referring to Apple, but I think that the new iOS 14.5 update, which everyone's talking about it in the context of Facebook and the Facebook Apple battle and how it might even integrate with Google. But I think 14.5, for those of us who do use iPhone, I realize a lot of you don't. That's okay. Today we're going to talk about how...
Not as cool, but okay.
Yeah, it's not as cool, but it's okay.
You know the population that uses an iPhone in the world? Or
I'm
at least
sure
in the
you
United
do.
States? I don't know. No, in the United States.
Why don't of you Google that while we're here?
One of our clients who serves a youth market up until in the young 20s, we find that actually 80% of people are using iOS devices, mostly iPhones, obviously. 80%. That's pretty high.
Can I make a comment about that?
Yeah, go ahead.
And I don't want to make this a social discussion, but actually, if you look at urban areas, it's socioeconomically driven. So where we live might be a little bit more upper middle class. You're going to find a high percentage of iPhone usage. When you go to urban areas, you're going to find a lot more Droid usage because iPhone overall is it's a lot more expensive to get into and to just to live in the Apple ecosystem. The cost of entry is higher than say the other options that are out there. So I mean that we could save that for another discussion. But it's interesting to know as marketers, when you're targeting certain demographics, to be aware of that. I've encountered that in my career that, when if it's a multi-market strategy, you're just making the assumption because, we live in our own world of iPhones that sometimes using non-iPhone platforms, strategies are a little bit different as content, as delivery, as apps that you might try into, all that kind of stuff.
Well, in talking to our clients about this iOS change and how it affects their ads, I mean, that's one of the things that we did is we actually looked into our specific audience and really what the effect of that's going to be, and we found with some of our clients that literally 60 to 70% of our ads that are being served to iOS folks, and what that might mean to their advertising. And it's interesting, Bob, because you text us not too long ago, and we have it's an internal thread that we talk a lot. And you text us some recent statistics that are coming out about the amount of folks who actually turn on the privacy on iOS. And I think that more data is going to come out soon that's going to be a little bit telling. But
what do you think the Android global share percentage is?
20%.
Well,
23%.
Do Chinese phones?
I'm just saying global.
Are they running Android, or do they run their own OS?
They probably have all their own stuff.
Yeah.
A version.
What's the big phone in China? I would say that Android is probably worldwide. I'd say is 63%, 63.7%,
87%.
Wow,
Android is?
That's more than I thought.
Oh, that's interesting.
Huh. Yeah, iOS is only about 13%.
So you're saying that Apple has a lot more market share they could gain if they?
Oh yeah,
that's interesting.
Absolutely.
If they made a $20 phone.
Now it'd be interesting. That's worldwide. I don't have US right in front of me right here, but I'm sure that's much higher.
Well, you're international anyway, so we don't need just US. You're big.
No, I'm just saying that's I would say that it's probably 60-40 maybe in the US. I don't know.
Yeah.
Just saying. So it's very different. But worldwide, yes, they have a lot of market share.
Yeah.
To make up for sure. So, but the latest update to the iOS, both on iPad and iPhone, and I've outlined like 5 different things, and we can just kind of run through them today. But the first one is it will allow users.
Well, let's set it up for a second here. So everyone talks about all the bad stuff about this update, right? That's kind of where this is coming from. Everyone, it's all just the world's going to end, marketing's going to be over.
We can't run Facebook ads anymore.
I think those are all Facebook employees who are saying that.
Yes, definitely I get a lot of emails from Facebook, which I think are really telling and interesting, where they're doing webinars on how to advertise better with the new iOS. And it's funny because when you have to sign up for the webinar, you have to select, do you agree with this update or do you disagree with this update? And it's a really interesting thing. I'm like, why are they asking that question? They're clearly upset about it. And I think it goes deeper than just, monetarily.
Because they're going to release a study that says our
hurt.
Users disagree with this.
I got to show you the survey that I get. It's from Facebook. It's funny. It's almost like an angry uncle is asking about the disagreement in
yes
Thanksgiving.
Or no.
Yeah, was that right or was not that right at Thanksgiving?
It's interesting too, just that how Facebook is starting to message. So now if you go into your Facebook ads and you look at the actual conversions, there's a little asterisk, but it's actually a little 2, and you'll read you go down and you read this little small
because
text.
Apple had iOS 14 and we hate them. This is all.
Yes.
This may not be accurate.
Correct.
But it could be better.
Correct. There's a little disclaimer that says this may actually not be accurate because of those stupid people over at Apple.
It seems like it's gotten so petty, and I think it's funny, but it really does come across through these things. And I just think that where I was going with that is it's all doom and gloom. And, I think, it's hard to do. But anytime something bad happens, the good thing to do is ask yourself, what's good about this thing? Mm-hmm. And so that's what you're doing. You're asking the question, what is good about the iOS 14.5 or whatever it is?
Well, the smart marketers are doing that, but they're also letting everyone argue about the fight and pay attention over here. And the smart marketers are over here going, all right, let's figure out all these changes and let's take advantage of them. And let's be the first one in. And that's what we're talking about today is 14.5 was not just... was actually, I would argue, I don't think Apple was sitting here thinking how we're going to screw Facebook. They're thinking, hey, how can we make privacy better for our users? And they're being selfish too. They're like, how can we make more money? Okay, so there's 2 of those things that compete. That's called capitalism. How can we make things better for society?
That's actually how they make money.
And how can we make as much money for ourselves, right? So that it works. And I would say, too, the beautiful thing about capitalism in our country, and as imperfect and as broken as it is, I think what we're seeing is when there is a big giant gorilla that begins to like dominate the landscape, there's natural forces that pull it down.
It's called the market.
Yeah, it's called the market. And
I do think the market is imperfect. I think it's perfect and
perfectly imperfect.
Imperfection. Yeah. Like I really like the market. If you really look at it, like it's like it's been around forever. You know, it's maybe a God invented thing, and it balances itself, right? The market will tell if something's great or not, and it'll hash itself out over time. Whether or not you're a communist country or a free country, over time, the market does its thing.
Right. It breaks up monopolies. It gives more opportunities. And we've had this duopoly of Facebook and Google. That's all there is. If you want to advertise and target people, it's all there is. Well, that's not a healthy market. And so now we see it starting to crumble a little bit. And the smart marketers, like we're going to talk about today, are going to be over in the corner figuring out, okay, there's no more duopoly. Now we've got 10 other players in here. Let's get creative about it. Meanwhile, everyone else is just, arguing over there. Yeah. So let's talk about that. So 14.5, what were some of the other benefits that that we need to be watching, how it'll affect marketing? The first one I had written down here was iOS 14.5 will allow users to turn off location tracking on their devices, meaning that you'll have to rely more heavily on other data points like IP address and device ID for targeting your ads. So I think you've always been able to turn off location tracking to some degree, but this is going to be more in the face of the users of the phone. So I think more and more people will be turning that off. Like, I don't want people tracking me knowing where I am. I don't want ads tracking me knowing where I am.
That's the question. So when you update to these updates, they don't by default shut it off. They just give you pop-up warnings that say, hey, by the way, we're doing this. And if you don't want it. And so I would have to say that most people, they would say, no, don't do this. Because they spin it in a way that does sound negative almost. And so I think that most people are going to adapt to more privacy just because of the narrative that these pop-ups have. Am I correct on saying that? Again,
I think so.
I'm running, when is it out already?
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I haven't, for some reason, I only have 14.4.2. I must have not updated my phone. Typically, I update it.
You're on the bleeding
Put it on
edge.
automatic.
I do have it.
Okay.
You know why you shut it off? Because because of the tracking feature that they install. And
this is just very sideline because I like to take us off on little tangents and just put in anecdotal junk. But I was watching YouTube. I watch a lot of YouTube stuff like everyone does. It's actually my television, I feel like now. And I'm watching these ads, and all the ads that come up are pretty relevant to what I'm interested in. And then all of a sudden, a mascara ad comes up from Maybelline. And I'm like, that's stupid.
Maybe
I'm like, why?
Maybelline.
But I watched it. I'm like, wow, that is weird.
It's
like,
a good one.
I got all these other, like,
Brad's been watching makeup videos.
No, seriously, I have no idea why I don't follow anything.
No, I'm just saying, Brad, like, Google knows what you need.
I know, man. My 80s rocker lifestyle is coming back again.
I mean, the algorithm is never wrong.
Exactly. So, exactly. So then, anyways,
it knows you better than you know you. Maybe you should buy whatever that product is.
I literally watched another couple YouTube videos, and that ad came up again. And I'm like, dang, what is going on? And I'm like, I felt offended. I'm like, they don't know me. They don't know me. Like, I just felt like I was just like another little pawn on their thing.
That is so funny that was your reaction.
I was literally a little bit offended. I'm like, why are they? That's so stupid. Or what I was offended by, I was like, that Maybelline company, they're targeting everyone. They're wasting money. Like, I get angry at things like I get mad at things like that when I see businesses waste money.
Well, I mean, now you're advertising for them on our podcast, so I think it worked.
Boom.
Yeah.
Anyways, I know that was really a rabbit trail, but
I think to your point is we got to get smarter.
If I shut my stuff off, if I shut all this privacy off of my phone, am I going to get Maybelline ads everywhere now? Like, am I going to get ads that are not relevant? Yes. And does that feel weird now?
Yeah, because I think what you might be feeling, and I'm not saying this happened, but as marketers, we start looking more at IP addresses, right?
Yeah.
Then you're talking more about your home,
Yeah.
right? And
maybe
even your television, like what you're watching, how that ties in with internet usage.
What about my Amazon Voice and Google Voice?
Yeah, there you go.
Are they listening to my
Of course they
deep
are.
thoughts?
Of course they are.
Yes.
Second one I had here is Apple's also introducing a new advertising identifier, which will help advertisers track how many people see their ads without having to use third-party cookies or the user's unique device identifier. Brad, you and I talked about this briefly, or actually you mentioned it, that cookie technology is pretty old and it's not real. I don't know.
It sucks.
Yeah.
It's just really bad. I mean, even from a technical side of things, like,
Yeah,
if you rely on cookies for something, it's like
delete them.
basically useless. And I don't mean from the standpoint of doing things that users hate. I'm just saying, like, as a technology, it's very unreliable. So the good thing there is someone will innovate a better, thing that does what cookies should have done.
I'm kind of bummed out at that because it took me like 2 years to get that concept in my mom's head that, no, Mom, they're not real cookies. Yeah. Now we got to change it all.
Developers and technology people name stuff the weirdest things, and then they get into the mainstream. It's so funny.
It took me forever to tell my in-laws that Bitcoin wasn't really a coin.
Oh boy, it's not a bit.
Well, don't you want to buy them? I can actually have them.
Do you put them in your wallet?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think cookie technology, and if you really think about what's happening there, is Facebook or whoever, they give you code and they go, here, go put this on your website. And really think about that for a second. Mm-hmm. Like most people, they don't look at that code. They don't know what's in it. You're just like, oh, that's okay. I'll put this code on my site. Yeah. And I get the result that I need, and I put it on all my clients' site.
And I mean, do that with Google Analytics too. I mean, it's free, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And Google Analytics, there's all kinds of stuff that we didn't know. They use the analytics that they find from sites all the time. So yeah,
it's interesting. Number 3, the update includes an improved Safari browser with features like intelligent tracking prevention, which blocks social media buttons from following users around the web in order to target them with that. Now, I think that's an interesting one because the add this buttons, all those, I think those are going to start being effective to some degree, because when I go to a website and I really like something, especially if it's a major news outlet, I'll reshare it because I'm like, oh, my friends and followers will find this interesting too. Because if I find it interesting, probably Brad's going to find it or Ken's going to find it interesting. And so I'll just click a button that says, share this, up will pop my LinkedIn, up will pop my Twitter, whatever, social, and it'll just seamlessly post it. Mm-hmm. I think what this is saying is those days might be gone, or at least you're going to have the option for that.
Kind of like the cookies, like it always sucked. Like it was really bad. It was a bad experience, like it always, like a little box that usually was broken. Sometimes you had to log into Facebook and authenticate, and it looked like, they clearly hadn't updated that box since 1995. So, and then sometimes it would post once, sometimes it would post 3 times on your, on your Facebook. I think, again, I feel like, okay, great. Because there's probably a better way to do that, now that we're in 2021.
Yeah. And the thing about those are,
of course, people aren't going to stop sharing. So, they're going to have to figure
people aren't
going to
share.
out.
They'll figure something out. But did you ever go, I'm sure you've done this, into your deep into your privacy settings inside of Twitter or Facebook or LinkedIn, and see who you gave authority to all those things over the. I know. It was like, oh my God, that was 3 years ago. They're watching that flow of data. Those companies that you may have used one time. Anyway, it's interesting.
Yeah.
So okay, moving on. Unless, Brad, you had a comment on that.
No, I have no comment about that. I just need to go back into my history and delete all those connections.
Noted.
Brad, you're going to like this next one because I think this is fun. 14.5 includes updates for SiriKit and CarPlay, both of which are important parts of any marketing strategy.
Yeah, we don't really talk about the future of automobile marketing, but I'm telling you, there will be a time in the near future we're just riders.
It sounds like a really bad idea.
I know, but
we're
going to have a lot more time in the car, and our attention's not going to be on the road. And right now there's a lot being developed. We don't even talk about that because a lot of us maybe are not in that industry. I'm not even deep in that industry. At times I am. But how marketing is going to be, you're going to be marketed to, even local marketing, where you're in a car, let's say, for instance, and you're driving down the road and you pass a certain restaurant. Well,
that's happening on Waze right now.
Yeah, right.
Waze actually does it really well.
Yeah, they do.
I'm like, it's brilliant. It's actually not that hard, you know?
It's like billboards. It's like digital billboards in your car. Like, stop at this taco place. You get 2-for-1 tacos. Oh, yeah. You know, or whatever. I mean, that's the basics of it. There's a lot more complexity to that. But the privacy doesn't just stop at your phone, right? What you're saying is that it stops everywhere. And anything that's digitized and anything that is connected has privacy issues. And it's gonna need there's gonna be a privacy discussion around that. Specifically, the car. Like, the car is gonna know who's sitting in the seat based on the weight. It's gonna know how you're driving. It's gonna know how you're riding or who's in the car. All that stuff. I mean,
what music you listen to.
What music you listen to. Yep.
AI is gonna take
how
over the
fast
world.
your car is going from 0 to 60.
And it's really not that hard. You know, people listening go, well, why and how am I going to market to someone in the car? It's no different, because when you get in the car, most people plug their car up, and on the screen, many people, if you have a later model car, all your data is right there. Yeah. So you just, if someone's listening to a podcast, there are ways to do audio ads directly to those people.
That's why I bought a Jeep.
Why is that?
Because it's like a new 1980s car.
It's not super connected.
It has like a piece of junk radio that has no internet connection or even ability to connect Bluetooth to my phone. I'm like, I want that. I don't want people tracking me all over the place.
When I connect my phone to my Bluetooth, it always asks me, do you want to upload all of your contacts so that they're available to you? And I'm like, that always gives me a question. I'm like, do you think
of course not.
Do you think that this company, the car company's taking all that data? And another thing is too, is like we see it now, we don't really think about it much, but like all these insurance companies actually do safe driving. They actually know that you're staying within the speed limit, right? They have that little computer thing you can swap out and put in your car, so they know that. They give you discounts.
Company. Yeah, insurance. Actually, that's brilliant in my opinion.
Yeah, that is a good idea. And maybe personal.
It is, but it definitely slides into an area that we probably don't want to get into. But at what point does law enforcement becoming mechanically enforced?
Well, we talked about this on another podcast.
Get problematic,
right? Right now, when you go through toll roads, and if you don't pay the toll, they literally shoot your license and send you a bill.
Yep.
Is it going to be the future that when you speed, you literally
they can definitely
they don't
do that
send
now.
you a bill.
Yeah,
they take it from your digital wallet.
Right. Mm-hmm. I mean, they can do that now, and I'm not. I don't believe. I know they have the ability to. I don't think they're doing it. Maybe they are somewhere in the U.S. I don't know. But that kind of gets to a weird philosophical challenge. It's not like humans should be policing humans. It's not like. And is AI going to take over the world? I think there's a real risk of AI becoming too big and
Elon Musk
all that kind of stuff. I think that's a huge risk.
I would push back a little bit on the insurance example, because I think they're not trying to police your morality or punish you. They're just simply to say, like, are you in safe investment, and are we going to protect our money
yet? That's my my thought. It's like maybe they're not using it that way, but as soon as insurance company knows you drive more risky or you don't drive more risky.
Ken, you said yet. You said the word yet. And yet tells me that you have a philosophy that companies will, for profit, will be nefarious if they can.
I think that the temptation is very big, and it usually ends up there, like going that direction.
Okay. I'm just curious, because I think, again, we talked about this on the past that there is a philosophical.
I don't believe it's out of nefarious intent from some person or something. Greed. I think it is greed over time, access to power over time.
That's how you feel about humans.
I mean, we know as humans we're broken people, and if given the ability to, we will slide. It's not one decision. It's like we'll just slide into something.
See, I don't believe that. And I think that's a worldview.
See, that's a different. I can tell there's difference in philosophies.
Yeah. And we should debate it. I'm curious. Well, I don't know. I'm not sure how. It's not. I want to be clear. I don't think that
I'm right down the fence right there between you guys.
I don't think you're naughty by nature. That's an 90s group.
Ken just dated himself.
But I do think I don't think intentionally human beings are. I think people have good intent.
Yeah,
I do believe that.
You believe like the Brene Brown that everyone's doing the best they can.
I think in general, I do think there are people that are anomalies, but I do think in general everyone's doing the best they can with the information they have and the situation they have and the emotional state that they have. Which again doesn't mean their actions show that intent, but I do think that we have a dark side. And I do think that dark side, if given enough food, will gradually get bigger.
I'd be curious of really what the philosophical drive within Apple is. Like, they have to have a sentiment internally that's maybe by their leadership, Tim Cook and other things, of what they believe could happen if they don't create these privacy things. Yeah. I wonder if they're more in line with you, Ken, or more in line with you, which actually you guys have a little bit of different philosophies.
I'm not sure. Explain to
me.
Maybe
not 100% different, but there's more or less, you believe that you don't, anybody, any company, any organization can go to the dark side.
I think if it's, I just believe
to the dark side of the moon. 1980s, Ozzy Osbourne.
Yeah, good job. I believe in the balance of that. I think the tension is important. That's what I mean.
Yeah. And you believe that.
I don't think, and I'm not going to say what Ken said because I don't know. Again, I'm not going to speak for you. All I would say is, if you believe that your worldview is that human beings will always veer toward the dark side, like that is our natural nature, and I get that philosophy, and I know how and why it can be reinforced, and there is many examples to prove that, right? I kind of fall into, I think everybody's born with a good intention, and then throughout our lives, human beings will make really good choices and really stupid choices. I don't think there is a drive toward the negativity. Now, I think there's a drive toward the positivity. I think it's how we grow, evolve, and get better. And, and it's interesting that you brought this up because there's the saying of, your outward reality is just a reflection of your inward reality. Mm. And I don't think what I'm saying on the one side of, we're bent toward bad stuff. I don't think that's what you're saying, Ken, because you don't live that way. But I do know that if you talk to two people with these very distinct world philosophies, the one person will say, the world is horrible. It's the worst time we've ever lived in, and it's going to hell in a handbasket, right? And they can show you and give you all these examples, right? Person on the other side will say, well, here's the facts. And this is where I live. We live in the best time ever to be alive. Stats say mass murder is down. It's lower than it's ever been, which is true. There's the serial killers is down almost 90% from 70s and the 80s, right? Crime is down. Our mass shootings might be up, but overall health, longevity, on and on it goes. Despite what we've been through the past year, we live in an amazing time. There's more people that are wealthy. There's less people that are hungry. On and on it goes, right? And I can make a case for that. My point is, I think that as human beings, we will always push toward our better nature. And if given the opportunity, that person who sees the world's negative will always connect and be bent toward our better nature as well.
Part of that though might be personality of people, because we talked a lot about this, and we've talked a little bit about the Enneagram, and you're an Enneagram 7, which is always your cup is half full. So you're always full. But if you talk to an Enneagram 6 who's like, well, life's kind of always gonna go to the negative.
And we need both those.
And you need both of them because I think they balance each other out. They're kind of the yin and the yang. But the question is like, one, though, you live in fear, and the other one you choose, somehow in your mindset choose not to live in that space.
Right.
And then there's a fine line to it, right? Again, you need to, maybe you might be blind that maybe there is some things going on in the background that are not nefarious, and then
Yeah.
you may, so
just to
your
be clear,
point of view is good too.
I'm not on the other side.
I'm
of
right
that
in the
coin.
middle though. Just to let you know.
Well, just to be clear, like I'm not on the other side of the coin. I don't think that the world is bad by nature, and I think that we are in the best time.
Naughty by nature.
Naughty. What's one of their best hits? I'm trying to remember it.
Naughty. Remember that Chris Farley Saturday Night Live skit?
Ah, man, I'm trying to remember one of the hits. It'll come to me in a sec. I don't think
Johnny Knoxville.
Yeah, Johnny Knoxville.
There we go. It came
Knoxville,
to you.
Tennessee. I personally don't have the view that that things are inherently bad. I do think we live in the best time ever. I do think that personally, I actually disagree with a lot of the kind of self-hatred of America and the world in general, and I don't agree with it. So just to be clear, like I'm not personally anyway on the glass is half empty side of things. Yeah. I'm not on the side where I'm like, I think everyone is pulling, more towards the negative than the positive. What I'm saying is, I believe that just objectively, I believe that the things that are the things that are really bad things, that the temptations that lead to bad places often come in short-term reward type of scenarios.
Yes.
And that's why they're temptations. That's why we slide down that. Right. It's the same with dieting. Like, oh man, cookies are great. But if you eat cookies all day long, like you'll die.
Yeah.
Right. So salad's not as good, but salad will keep you alive more. My point is like, my worldview is that I'm trying to choose the word, not the better path, but the path that keeps you healthy as a human being is a harder path to walk. And it is way easier to slide into the other places. And that's why I say, I think if left unchecked, a company with tons of power, tons of data, and that kind of stuff, all it takes is a couple decisions that are like, you might have a bad apple in the company that's like, oh man, we could really do something about this. All right. Or
bad apple at Apple?
Yeah, right. I don't think that exists. I'm just kidding. Or it just might be a gradual slide that direction. And you're like, all of a sudden, like, man, we didn't realize we got to this place.
Yeah.
And I mean, social media is an example of that, right? Where it's like, there's a lot. I mean, it's hard to make a case for a net positive currently in our society for social media, at least from like an individual human standpoint. Like there's a lot of negative mental effects, but my point is like they didn't intend to do that.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it'll stay there, but the point is the point I was making, just to be really clear, is I just think that if left unchecked, anything out of balance is bad.
Yes,
and I think that if you give all the power and data, I think that, and you don't check it, and you're not like, you don't have the people that are like, maybe Big Brother's going to take over. Like those people are important because as it's extreme, but it's like at least keeps us from being like, that'll never happen. And then it does happen. Right. So that's all I was sort of saying is like, I just think that the pull towards, and we're human beings, we're not perfect people. If we were perfect, that wouldn't exist. Since we're imperfect,
we agree.
Think that does exist.
We agree. Final update, number 5.
Yep.
It introduces changes that makes it easier for developers to create augmented reality apps, something that marketers should be paying attention to as they develop strategies for going forward, which I love that last one.
So unpack that a little bit.
Augmented reality is that feature where you point your phone or your iPad at something. Historically, in the early days, it was a code. I mean, something still has to trigger it. But a simple example of children's books. You have the children's books, you're reading it, and they can pull up their iPad, point it at the page that they're reading, and up pops some character or cartoon that talks to them or acts it out or something like that. And I think it's really a really interesting augmented reality of moving forward as marketers is how can we integrate that ability to look at the world through your device and see something else that is that appears to be present in the real world but actually is augmented.
So would this be something like I take my phone and let's say I'm in Manhattan and I'm on the corner of some streets and I just put my phone on something and it automatically knows, oh, that's that building or that's that thing, and it can read the environment and tell me exactly data, information.
I don't mean to call out the elephant in the room, but I don't think anyone needs to be explained what augmented reality is.
No, I know that, but what I'm saying is
Bob's been doing it since. So I remember you.
Do you remember that?
No, I know what augmented reality is. I just want to know like how the privacy
with Eric, right?
No, but I'm being serious. Like, 15, maybe not quite 15 years ago, but whenever the first iPhone came out,
15 years ago.
You remember you walked in, you're like, look at this, and like you're like, we need to figure out how to use this this thing, and so now anyway, 15 years later, it still hasn't really caught, like people haven't done.
I think it was a novelty for so long.
Add-on, right? But it hasn't been like a driver.
Did you see the ad for the Apple during the Oscars that highlighted augmented reality?
I didn't see that.
It was a great example. Little kid. It was the whole Apple ecosystem, right? So the kid turns on Apple Plus and he watches My Octopus Teacher, which is a really cool documentary, and it won some Oscars.
Yeah, I saw that. That's great.
It was really, and so so the little kid's like, he's watching it on his iPad, right? On Apple Plus. Then he goes and he orders through his iPhone or whatever a little outfit, onesie octopus outfit, right? And then next thing you see him wearing it. Then I think one of the last things you see is his dad's laying in bed with his eyes closed, like he's dozed off. And the little kid has his iPad up, pointing it at his dad with an octopus like coming over and like, on his face. And he's like, Dad, the octopus is on you. And I think, that's kind of where things are going. But to bring it full circle is augmented reality was a novelty and still is.
It's more like an added value type thing.
Yeah, more like an added value. But I think smart marketers today are going to learn how to integrate that into, like you said, location, personal information that you can tie into it and make it very personal and relevant.
That's what I was saying, is that I think maybe because that's introduced as a privacy conversation, right? That it's going to become more and more of a focus for Apple and what that looks like. How does that become more integrated into our lives? Because right now it's kind of like, you're right, a novelty. I don't know if I use augmented reality on a daily basis, but I may in the future because it does something that's useful for my life.
Well, imagine, you like mountain bikes, right?
Yep.
Imagine something's broken on your bike and you've just pointed at your bike and all of a sudden it pops up and it knows that the chain's off or whatever. Exactly. And it says, here, it points to this, and it says, Brad, undo this, loosen this screw, see this up here on this thing, do that. And I think that's practical.
Beautiful. Yeah, right now I watch YouTube videos for hours trying to figure those things out.
And it's like, turn the camera, man. I can't see it. The other thing on the marketing side is on sales side, like especially in e-commerce, right? Like for anyone, we're in a world where, we're seeing physically products less and less. And so augmented reality actually taking big leaps, it's still not really there for it, but like the closer we can get to being able to physically see and touch something without it being in the room,
exactly,
is going to actually help marketers.
Product description
for sure.
Yeah.
Those kind of things. Yeah.
Good discussion.
You know what's the most exciting update about the good thing about the iOS 14 update is? It's going to peel off all the people who don't know how to market anymore.
Yeah. We're going to have to get back to telling stories, brand stories. Imagine that.
Wow.
All right, gentlemen. Anyway. Well, listen, this is a short one, but good discussion. Love to get your input and your recommendations, reviews. If you have questions about stuff we talked about,
if you guys are watching our videos, though they're not super exciting to watch three guys sit around and talk, but if you guys watch us on YouTube, make sure you
want to see the hat of the day for Brad, then watch us on YouTube.
Click on the likes. Actually, I like to say smash up the likes because it sounds more like you actually care. Smash up the likes.
Okay.
Do it now.
Do it now. Okay.
Yeah, follow us on social.
Do it now. Okay, guys. Until next time.
Agency Exposed.
Bye.